My wife cheated on me with her boss and humiliated me, while I worked endlessly to provide for her. Now I'm taking back control and planning a cold, calculated revenge against them both. I probably would have left things as they were and moved on with my life without her, but it was her mocking smile that triggered it. He forced my hand with that smile, and, whether she saw it or not, his total lack of respect shattered my soul. It was obvious that Samantha, my wife of 6 years, would not be my wife for much longer. Part of the problem in our marriage was that I had been working too hard for the last 6 months. I was in line for a big promotion. With it would come a big pay raise. That meant Sam could quit her job, and we could start our family. Another problem was that Samantha is a beautiful woman, one of those knockout girls who never learned to be rude when men flirt with her. She did not exactly flirt back, but she has a wonderful smile that sends the wrong message. Since Sam looks a lot like Scarlett Johansson, the same beautiful face and a great body, only taller, men are naturally drawn to her. I had my suspicions for a while. She was working too many nights, and there were more out-of-town trips. But the smile on her face at her company's holiday party, that was the proof. I almost had to force Sam to invite me to this party, and now I knew why. Respect is a big thing in my family. By the way, my name is John Simoncelli. If you will allow me for a few minutes, I will give you just one example. In high school, I was the star shortstop for the baseball team. It was early in the season, and we were facing the team that had the best chance of stopping us from winning the conference championship. The opposing pitcher threw a fastball straight at my head. The ball did not hit my face, but it hit my helmet. I got up and started jogging to first base. I looked at the pitcher, and he shot me a mocking smile. Then he said quietly, "Coward." I charged the mound and caught him by surprise. Instead of playing patty cake like in most baseball fights, I punched him in the nose, breaking it and causing blood to gush all over his white uniform. All hell broke loose after that. I was suspended pending a hearing on whether I would be permanently expelled. My coach was pretty disgusted with me, but my old man agreed with me. When he drove me home, he said, "I saw what that idiot did and said to you, you cannot let these clowns disrespect you. It is all downhill after they know they have got your balls." However, the coach's disapproval bothered me. He had been my coach for the last 3 years, and I wanted his respect. When I showed up at his office the next day, he gave me a lesson I have never forgotten to this day. Why do you care what some lowlife says to you? Do you know where I grew up? On State, the 75, where some gangbanger was always trying to provoke me. I was lucky. Neither my mother nor my father would tolerate any fighting. That kept me on the straight and narrow path to college and out of the slum. Now I live where I want, doing a job I love, and those stupid gangbangers are either dead, in jail, or living in a room with a needle in their arm. So here is the thing. If you play for me again, there will be no more fighting, regardless of the circumstances. I ended up serving a 3-game suspension. Someone was looking out for me because at the hearing, Ron Mueller, the opposing catcher, shows up. It seems he was disgusted with the way his coach was trying to win. His coach had ordered the pitcher to throw that ball with the intention of getting me permanently expelled. Ron did not want to win the title that way, and he saved me. Ron ended up being the catcher on my college team and, eventually, the best man at my wedding to Sam. Back to the present. I could have handled it if Samantha had shown some respect and just said, "It is over, and I am leaving." I have been left before, not since college, and not by a woman who stood in front of 100 of our friends and family promising to love me forever, but I could have handled it, believe me. Since Sam chose her path, obviously having sex with her coworker, Jacob Harris, and coming home to give me leftovers, I found myself like one of those cartoon characters. My coach on one shoulder, whispering in my left ear, "Take the high road and leave." My father on the other shoulder, screaming in my right ear, "Destroy them both, son." It did not take much time or secret spy tricks to get the concrete proof I needed. On Monday morning after her company party, I took the day off and hired a divorce lawyer and a private investigator. The first night of that same week, when Sam called to tell me she was working late, I called the former police detective and he followed them to the jerk's house. There are no pictures of them having sex, really, but I am sure they did not spend 2 hours at his house analyzing spreadsheets. Everything was ready for Sam's next visit to his place. On Friday night, she called to let me know that she and a couple of women from the office were going for drinks and dinner. Do not wait up, John. I have not had a girls' night out in a long time. An hour after her call, I went to the address the detective gave me and saw Sam's car parked in the driveway. I knocked on the door and was surprised when he answered the door, standing in his bathrobe, with the same smile. Do not even think about it, John. I am a karate black belt. I am not here to start anything, Jacob. She is all yours now, and the last thing I need is a liar and a cheater for a wife. Tell Sam to come down so I can serve her these papers. I showed him the manila envelope. I called out, Sam, come downstairs. There is no need to hide. Sam came downstairs wearing a robe that matched the jerks. I almost smiled. Sam, here are the divorce papers. Get yourself a lawyer and have him contact mine to work out the settlement. Do not come home tonight or before tomorrow night. By then I will have moved my things out of our apartment and you can move back in. Sam took the envelope as if it were radioactive. John, my parents and my brother's family were coming for brunch tomorrow. What am I supposed to tell them if I am not there? No problem, Sam. Right before I came here, I sent an email to your brother and gave him this address. I told him that you and Jacob were going to host your family here instead of our apartment. I guess he will get the message in time. If not, I will let them know about the change of venue when they arrive tomorrow. Goodbye. I looked at Sam. She was starting to fall apart and cry, but then I saw it on her left hand and almost lost my composure. Sam, did you not even have the decency to take off my grandmother's wedding ring when you slept with this bastard? Give me the ring right now. The one you gave me is in the envelope with the divorce papers. Sam broke down, but she managed to get the ring off her finger. I left without saying another word. I was not completely surprised when the doorbell rang on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Maybe her brother did not get my email in time after all. This is going to be awkward, I thought. When I looked out the window and saw Sam's family on the porch, I had no idea how awkward it would be until I opened the door. John, we are sorry. I got your email and I talked to Sam. Can we come in and talk? For the next hour, her brother, mother, and father did their best to convince me that I should let Sam come home and drop the divorce. It seems Sam went to her brother's house after I left her and Jacob, confessed everything, and asked for their help. Sam knew that I was very fond of her parents, especially since my parents moved to the Sunshine State after my father's retirement. The three of them talked about counseling, forgiveness, pity, and so on. I spent the next full hour trying to convince them that it was not going to happen. Nobody was happy. There were no smiles when they left. It took all my willpower not to hug my mother-in-law as she walked out onto the front porch. She was crying, and I wanted to tell her it was okay, but it was not, and I did not give her that hug. We did the usual dance for the next few months until the divorce was final. She wanted to talk. I did not. Her lawyer asked for counseling. Mine said it would be a waste of time and money. The marriage was irrevocably broken by my wife's infidelity. The week before the divorce, I was invited to dinner at Ron's house. He knew more details of why Sam and I split up than I did because his wife, Jerry, and Samantha still talked occasionally. I was sitting in their kitchen watching his wife, Jelly, cook dinner. Jelly, that is what we all call her, was 7 months pregnant and just radiated happiness. Ron saw me looking at her belly and knew what I was thinking. John, let us go out on the porch and have a chat. I will see you out there. My beer is gone. I headed for the fridge, and on my way out, I put my arm around Jelly's waist. He adores you, Jelly. Never cheat on him. Why would I do that, John? I love that man, and we will have a little boy soon. I am not crazy. That is what I would have said about Samantha a year ago. Look at us now, 6 days away from a divorce. Sam got stupid, John. I am not that dumb. Ron is not going to try to talk me into this, is he? You go out there and listen to what he has to say. I will tell you what I tell Sam every time she calls. I will support you both in any way I can, except give you my opinion on what you two should do. I gave Jelly a kiss on the cheek and went outside. I handed one of the beers to Ron and waited. John, Sam wants to meet with you and talk before the divorce is final. She called and asked me to ask you. That is no surprise. I have thought about it because it is not the first time she has asked. Why should I give her the satisfaction? All it will do is ease her mind, and I am not giving her that. I would not either, John. But let me ask you, do you have any unresolved questions she could answer? If so, turn this around on her. Get your questions answered first, then do whatever, walk out, stay and listen, whatever. What he said made sense. So, you did not bring me here to give her another chance. No, John, I just want what is best for you. If that involves going through with the divorce, then I am with you on that. I met Sam the night before our court date at a small cafe. We asked for a table in a quiet corner. Thank you for meeting me, John. Sam looked like she was about to burst into tears. I did not give her a chance to start the discussion. Sam, I know you have things you need or want to tell me, but I have a couple of questions first. The waiter chose that moment to take our drink orders and start talking about the chef's specials. I interrupted him as politely as possible. I ordered a bottle of wine and the chef's salad to share and asked the waiter to give us as much privacy as possible. He understood. Sam, my first question is, why? I thought we had something special. We did. Yes, but the reasons for my actions are all old cliches. We were together and exclusive for 7 years. I was seduced by a handsome guy at work who complimented me on everything. You were spending more and more time thinking about work or being there. That is not fair, Sam. You know I was only working those long hours to get the promotion. You wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and I was trying to make that happen. I know, and I knew it then too, but at the time I was being selfish, wanting to have it all right now. I cannot believe I screwed it up so badly. We were less than a year away from having our babies. They even had men. The tears were falling from her eyes. Okay, I promised myself I would not ask, but I have to know. Was he that much better in bed than I was? Sam surprised me. She started to laugh through her tears. No, no, no. He could not even compare to you in bed. I never had to fake it with you. I should not tell you this. Maybe it will just make you angrier. But the only times he filled me up were the times we did it from behind. He asked me so many times I was starting to think maybe he was gay, but it was really just because there was friction that way. I am sorry. I know I never let you go there, and here I am confessing I did it with him. Do not worry. It has never been my thing. Well, that is a good thing, John, because your penis does not belong in a woman's butt. Sam did not see the waiter coming up from behind when she said this, and when he set down the wine, he took a moment to look at my lap and walked away smiling. Sam turned beet red, and we laughed together for the first time in 6 months. We finished our salads and the wine. Sam spent the time trying to get me to accept her apologies, but I resisted, telling her that maybe someday I would, but it was too soon and too painful. As we got up to leave, Sam dropped the last bombshell on me. This is another reason for my actions, John. You can be like ice sometimes. Our marriage will be over tomorrow, and you are like a statue. No tears, no yelling. I cry myself to sleep every night. Did you ever really love me? Sam, I loved you more than you will ever know. But let us get a couple of things straight first. A few times tonight you referred to your actions. Let us call a spade a spade. You cheated on me, Sam. You slept with another man when you were supposed to be faithful, forsaking all others. Second, whether I go home tonight and get drunk or cry, that is my business. Most likely after our divorce tomorrow, you and the jerk will be an item. He has already shown what he thinks of me by sleeping with my wife, ending my marriage, and laughing at me all the while. If I cry now, or if I tell you about my bad nights, you will surely tell him about it someday. Then that arrogant prick will get another laugh at my expense. Do not push it, Sam. You do not want to see the demon that lurks just below the surface. I did not go to court the next day. My lawyer took care of it. It was a modern, no-fault divorce with an equal division of assets. That day, the marriage just ended. The months passed since the divorce. I used them to plan. I got that promotion at work and the big pay raise, but I had no one and nothing to spend it on. One day, I ran into Jacob. I did not know it at the time, but after our divorce, Jacob and Sam started dating again and were now engaged. Jacob let me know that. He won, I lost. Sam was a fantastic lover he could not get enough of, and I must have something wrong with my equipment, since Sam was so easy to get into his bed when we were married. I was a coward because I turned and walked away. I was not afraid of Mr. Black Belt, but I had just spent 2 years working hard to get that promotion, and any physical altercation would have ruined that half of my life. The guy had already ruined my love life. Would he get the satisfaction of ruining my work life too? I walked away. My method for revenge came to me suddenly. It is a funny thing about some men. They cannot help but dip their pen in the company ink. Jacob was no exception. Sam was not the first woman he had dated from his company. One day I got a call from Helen Smith, a woman I had met at one of the company parties. She wanted to meet me for dinner. She would pay. Jacob and Helen were getting serious, or so she thought, when he suddenly treated her like a disease. Jacob dropped Helen when he decided to pursue my wife. Things got hot between Jacob and Helen while Sam was fighting our divorce, but they turned ice cold immediately when the divorce went through and Jacob and Sam became a couple again. Helen was furious, and hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. You could let Jacob steal your wife without so much as a whimper? I was at that Christmas party last December, and I saw the way Jacob behaved. I was still in love with Jacob, and I expected you to fight for your wife. You did nothing. Are you a wimp or just a coward? This dinner invitation was Helen's attempt to give me some courage. I leaned back, took a sip of my whiskey, and thought about how I would respond to her challenge. Helen, I am sorry. I do not know you, and I do not know how much I can trust you. Trust is in short supply right now, but I can tell you that I am not a coward, and that there will be repercussions someday. Have you ever heard the saying, revenge is a dish best served cold? Helen looked at me. Damn, I did not think of that. You are Sicilian. That is right. And if you are really interested in a little revenge, just hang tight, and someday I will call you and ask for a favor. Nothing illegal, but very important. That night when I got home, my ideas started to take shape. But could I trust Helen to keep her mouth shut? I discreetly made an inquiry with someone I could trust, and he confirmed Helen's story. Helen and Jacob had dated, and their breakup coincided with Sam and Jacob's now relationship. As we talked, my source apologized for missing the first affair and for not giving me a heads up. He kindly offered that the company's senior management was tired of the romantic trauma surrounding Jacob's affairs. They were in the process of rewriting corporate policies regarding workplace romances, and it was rumored that Jacob was skating on very thin ice. During my separation and the 2 months since the divorce, I had been hiring an escort for my sexual and social release. Cindy Fox, her professional name I guess, and I would go to dinner or a show every 2 or 3 weeks and end up in bed for a couple of hours of sex before she went home. It cost me a fortune, but as I said, I had nowhere else to spend my pay raise from my promotion. It was the first time I had ever paid for sex, at least directly, but I did not want to be tempted by a rebound relationship. So Cindy became my go-to lady whenever the urge hit me. She also became an integral part of my plans. I called Helen and told her yes, I was in. She only had 2 tasks. First, get me Samantha's schedule for when she was out of town on business. Second, at the right time, approach Jacob and ask him to meet her in a public place for closure. Helen called me the next day. Sam was scheduled to be out of town in 2 weeks for 3 days and nights. Helen contacted Jacob and they arranged to meet on the first night of Sam's trip at the Hyatt Lounge downtown, just for a drink and a chat. But I am sure Jacob thought maybe he would get to end it with Helen one last time. Cindy laughed when I explained the first part of my plan, but I really surprised her when I explained the second part. Cindy, do any of the women who do what you do ever get a social disease? I am not talking about anything deadly like AIDS. I am talking about curable things like gonorrhea. Sure, it happens, but it is rare. Most girls insist on using condoms. I know a couple who do not, but they try to be careful and they charge double for the privilege. There have been a couple of those girls who had to get treatment. Do me a favor, please, let me know when one of the girls has something to contribute. I will pay her double, and I will pay you the same as a finder's fee. You are kidding, right? You want to give this guy something. Nothing deadly, just something to ruin his wedding night. Everything was set for part 1. Cindy told me the details later that night. She was sitting at the bar in the Hyatt Lounge having a cosmopolitan when Jacob walked in and sat down next to her. Naturally, they exchanged smiles and Jacob ordered a whiskey. Cindy was wearing a typical business suit and looked very professional. Not that kind of professional. Jacob's cell phone rang almost immediately. Sure, Helen, I understand. I hope your mother gets better. Jacob hung up and immediately turned to Cindy. Hi, I just got stood up because my date's mother is sick. Can I buy you another drink? Cindy gave Jacob a big smile. Sure, I can handle 2, but do not try to get me drunk. I have been on the road for 2 weeks and have not seen my husband during that time. A girl starts to get horny. Cindy flashed the wedding ring I bought at a pawn shop for this occasion. It was like waving a red cape at a bull. Jacob took the bait. My name is Jacob. It is a pleasure to meet you. And they drank and chatted for half an hour. Cindy had that third drink and did her best to act a little tipsy before she finished her third Cosmo. Jacob was doing his best to seduce her, little touches on her arm and leg. Charming conversation with just enough sexual innuendo. Cindy told me it was hard not to laugh at all the work he was putting into this, considering she was getting paid for it. Finally, Cindy got tired of the seduction. She finished the Cosmo and invited him up to her room. Jacob and Cindy did it twice in her room. Of course, Jacob did not know the whole event was being photographed. Cindy threw him out, claiming she needed to recover and get some sleep, but not before getting his cell phone number. Then she and I reviewed the photos on my laptop. I promised to erase any pictures where she could be identified before the camera or the memory card left the room. Even after erasing half the photos, we still had a few dozen that showed Jacob fully engaged in sex with this stranger. Another month went by before the wedding, and I was hoping to get lucky before the month was out. Within 2 weeks, Cindy called me with the news. One of the girls is sick with gonorrhea. I found out because she asked me and another girl to cover for her while she gets well. Did you talk to her about my request? Briefly. She is willing to have a conversation, but be aware that she is a mercenary and will probably charge you double because she thinks you will have a hard time finding a replacement. And does your fee change? No, I guess we have a deal. And you always take good care of me, which is true because I always give her a nice extra tip. So Cindy and I met with this young woman. She insists on no names, and we agreed on the details for part 2. This will cost me a few thousand, but it is worth it. Cindy calls Jacob the next day. Hello. Dear Jacob, this is, and from the Hyatt. Do you remember me? How could I forget? Are you in town? Yes. I was wondering if you are ready for the best experience of your life. Pretty sure of yourself? We had a lot of fun that night, but what are you willing to do to make it the best experience of my life? I am here at the Hyatt with a coworker. She is very wild, and after what I told her, she thought you could handle both of us tonight. Can you get away? Of course, Jacob's self-image made him believe that 2 women would want to sleep with him. I just need to make a quick call, and I will be in the lounge. No, not the lounge. Just come up to room 449. We will be here. Bring some ice-cold Stoli. When Jacob got to room 449, our mystery girl was there, but not Cindy. Where is Anne? He asked. She got a call from home. Her son is sick, and she is back in her room helping her husband handle the situation. She said it is the first time she has had to deal with a sick child, but you and I can get started. And so they did. Cindy never showed up, but our mystery girl did her best to make Jacob forget about the threesome. After he left at 10, we met at a local coffee shop, and she picked up the balance I owed her. I admit I felt a little bad about doing this to a guy, but he is such a jerk that when she left, I almost felt good about it. She took the envelope and walked out the door. Cindy looked at me, shrugging. I told you she is a mercenary. You paid me for the night. Do you want to go to your place and do it? I said yes, we did. I waited until the week after the wedding and finished my project. Both Sam and his company received envelopes in the mail with fake return addresses. Both envelopes contained a short letter and a set of photos. Sam's letter read, Dear Mrs. Harris, I am sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but it seems your husband and my wife have been seeing each other when she traveled to your city. The private detective hired to get the proof provided me with these photos. I only included those that show his face, so there is no doubt it is him. I was not going to inform you, except I just got the news from my doctor that she has infected me with a social disease. You might want to get tested. Sincerely, your husband's lover's soon-to-be ex-husband. The letter to the CEO read, Dear Sir, I just wanted to let you know what kind of man your company employs. According to my wife, he picked her up in a bar, got her drunk, and proceeded to give her a social disease. I do not know if this letter will reach you or if you will care, but I would keep an eye on the lowlife. He seems to have no morals. Sincerely, a sorry husband. Things settled down quickly. Sam's family had the marriage annulled. Jacob was fired, and the rumor is that they were both medicated. It helps to have a friend in the county health services department. I moved on with my life. Sometimes I imagine follow-up scenarios. In one, I beat the crap out of Jacob. In another, I pretended to get back together with Sam, take her to a foreign country, and then leave her stranded there with no cards, passport, etc. I might have done it too, except for the vision of her mother and what it would do to her. I could have been that cruel to my ex-wife, but not to my ex-mother-in-law's daughter. But I quickly lost interest as my new job became more interesting and challenging. That was until the next Simon Selly family picnic. Uncle Vin, my father's older brother, was there. Uncle Vin is connected, if you know what I mean. He called me over, and we had a quiet chat. Johnny, tell me about your divorce. What happened? I like that girl. I gave Uncle Vin the short version of our breakup. What did you do about it? Then I explained what I had done to seek revenge. That is evil, but not exactly scorched earth. No, Uncle Vin, I did my best to put it behind me. I am taking the high road, I told him, explaining why. That is good, and those are excellent reasons. You know, that baseball coach really did you a good turn. Uncle Vin was no more or less a bigot when it came to racial matters, but he always found it amusing that a black man from the Chicago slums had had as much influence on my life as my father. If you took after that hot-headed father of yours, you would not be the man you are today. Many a time I had to calm my little brother down, or he would have ended up dead or in jail. Have you ever talked to Coach Price? Only a few times, and not since I was a junior in college. It slipped my mind. You should look him up. He volunteers at the Boys and Girls Club over on West Palmer. Let him know what he did for you. A man likes to hear that once in a while. But now you go over to your father, give him a hug, and tell him you love him. He needs to hear that too. Uncle Vin was a funny guy. I have heard that many are afraid of him, but he always acted like a teddy bear with me. I went to see Coach Price, and he talked me into starting some volunteer work at the club. I even started dating his niece, a beautiful woman. In other words, no drama, just love. One last thing, on my 30th birthday, I got a birthday card from Uncle Vin. It simply said, "Happy birthday, nephew." Nobody laughs at a Simon Selly. It seems a certain Jacob Harris was found the night before in the alley behind the bar he frequents. He was the victim of a mugging. Nothing life-threatening, but he had a broken nose, a few broken fingers and ribs, and 2 very swollen testicles. I guess his black belt must have been at home that night. Well, it seems the karate man was no match for the uncle's Sicilian friends. A story with a bit of revenge for the wife and another bit for the lover. Although, if we count better, the lover suffered several things throughout the story, which is always very satisfying.